Alright, Bex. So when you pull the tent out of the bag, you're gonna have a big pile. And so one of the first things that you're gonna look for are these little ends. And you'll see there's 2 plastic clips and 2 little eyelets with a hair tie holding them together. The reason for that is because I found this to be the easiest way to keep the footprint in place when you pack it up, move it around, and take it back out and set it up. So you'll find one of these and kind of like drag the whole thing wherever it's gonna go, just to kind of spread it out a little bit. And you're gonna look for the other end. In this case, here's the other end. See 2 eyelets, 2 little things. And you'll see kind of why that's useful in a minute. And you kind of follow the other edge here, this bright green, down to the other side. There we go. You notice this one's a different color, and that is because the front end and the back end are color coded. So the back end is dark green and the front end is bright green. Here is the other side of the front. So this one is also bright green, and you see 2 eyelets are tied together as well. Here's the basic outline of your tent before it's put together. And in the little bag over here inside, you'll also see tent poles, and they're kind of hard to straighten out with one hand on video. So I did that already, and this is what they're going to look like. It kind of looks like a TV antenna for those of us who are old enough to remember what a TV antenna looks like. And you'll see there's a long side, a little T-bar thing, and an inside. The little T-bar thing is kind of interesting because it has this little plastic thing. When you set up this middle long beam here, that's going to go through, that's going to get assembled like through there. So when you take it apart, you'll pull it out of there in order to get it to sit down right. So put that back together. Now, aside with the long end and the short ends go with the little triangle for the back, and the side with the long ends go with, you spread this out a little bit, you'll see the big triangle here, right here, to here. So that goes with the front. So we're basically going to get car stick, take this whole thing and just kind of, that's close enough. I tend to like to do the front first. I think it's because the longer the poles, the floppier they are, so they're less rigid and easier to manage. So you're gonna find your first end here. Just slide the whole thing over. And the thing you want to be conscientious of is when you put the ends together, you want to make sure that this end feeds through both eyelets. So eyelet number 1, eyelet number 2. Now I'm kind of standing on a little corner here, just a tiny bit. You don't want to like rip your tent on the rocks underneath. It's part of what the footprint does, but you don't want to push it too hard either. So I kind of just lightly hold it down and get a teeny bit of tension over here. I'm going to switch feet and stand over here and walk over to the other side. And you don't want this piece to fall out of here. So I'm going to hold up here and kind of keep putting pressure just a tiny bit over here. And I'm going to reach up to here. And I'm going to grab this other end. And as long as I'm standing down here, see this pole will just kind of arc over. That'll give you enough bend in here. See how it's to go straight down to this other side. As long as you keep holding on here, you can, see if I can get the end in frame. Make sure to go 1 eyelet, 2 eyelet. And then you can kind of put a little bit of pressure there and let go with your foot. And see what happens is it kind of holds this piece here kind of tightly now. So now you shouldn't have to worry about that falling out as long as you don't move the whole damn tent somewhere else. So we're gonna go to the other side. We're gonna do the other side. And here, I'm a little far away to like stand on it, so you'll see what I'm talking about. So grab the end and just kind of pick up the whole thing. You can see, well, it's stuck on my driveway. But sometimes if you don't, the whole tent will just kind of creep away on you. So see if you can get a good bend in there. Step a little bit on here. Take your end. Go 1 eyelet, 2 eyelet. And if you just let that go, it's one more end sticking out here. So I'll grab this guy, stand on the corner over here, and bring it over here, go 1 eyelet, 1 eyelet, 2 eyelet. And there you go. So that's the frame of it. So next thing you're going to look at is, see this end over here, how it has this little thing at the end here, this button, I guess. Ultimately that's going to go downward, but it does kind of tend to weight itself down, so we'll just let it do what it wants for a second. When we're in this mess, you'll see a black piece of hardware. It's this guy right here, and this, you're going to see, goes right up to here. So it just slides right over the top. This is kind of hard to do with one hand. Clip it on there. Now you have your whole tent more or less assembled. So it's going to be the same thing with the plastic hooks. Take each one of these and just snap them over the top of your tent. I don't think it really matters if they go this way or this way. Whatever's easiest, they're fine. And the last thing, nice thing about this tent is it is freestanding. I'm getting a little close to my stuff over there, so I'm gonna move it a little more. You just pick it up and move the whole thing wherever you want. So this side is not all the way set up, so this little thing here is gonna go into the end here. Under there. And you'll come over to the other side and you'll do the same thing. Right here. Ew. And just kind of pull it a little tighter. And it'll go right in there. So it sits up like that. Here's your tent. Now, you can see when you pick it up and move it, a piece of material under there, that's the footprint. So the reason why I like to hair tie them together on each end is because sometimes when you move it with a footprint on it, the footprint likes to fall off and kind of drag behind you, and then you have to reset it up, and then usually you get a bunch of dirt under there and kind of hurts the integrity of the bottom of your tent, which is counter to what a footprint is supposed to do. I wouldn't recommend camping without the footprint. I would just recommend not messing with the hair ties and just leaving it be. I'll show you the trick to packing it back up when you're done. In this tent, there is an air freshener, a couple pockets. So another pocket down here. I'll put that guy in there for now. There's also this thing hanging around here. This is a flashlight. Inside here, there's a little pocket. you can kind of see. So this is supposed to go in the little pocket. I think it takes like AAA batteries or something. And it goes in there. And if you push the little light bulb, you get little lights. And I think you can dim them, but yeah, so that's like a fun little thing. So the last thing that's in the bag is a rainfly. Rainfly is also color coded. So if you remember, the front has the light green and the back has the dark green. You're just gonna kind of fluff this out until you see one. Here's the light green one. So you know, front's there, here's the other end of the front, and there's the back over there. So the branding goes on the outside. So I'm just gonna leave this front side over here and pick up one of these back sides since I'm doing this one-handed. I'll fluff it out. Drag the whole thing over the top. Just kind of let it sit there if you want to. You can fluff it out a little better. Here's the start of the door. You can see because there's like a little V right there and it goes down. This one does have a vestibule, and this is what you're going to be setting up in a minute. So you do have to stake out the vestibule if you want it to work, but I'll get there in a minute. And once you have that one down there, here's where it gets really hard. Really hard. So usually open up the vestibule. This over here on this side needs to go up and over this side. To do that, it does require two hands. You go in here, underneath, and you kind of grab the pole. You'll have to like kind of curve the pole to get it to fit in there. It will go, but it is tight. So yeah, you'll get it, but it takes some doing. Here is your dark one. And you have a choice. You can either put this on the first eyelet or the first clip or the second one. When I have a footprint, I always put it on the second one because I feel like it sandwiches everything together a little bit better. So let's skip the first one, go to the second one. And just, I don't know if I can do this one-handed, tuck that in there. And they are adjustable, so you can tighten it down if you want to. This one over here. All of the guy lines on this one are already assembled. You don't have to hook them up unless you think it's going to be windy or rainy. If you think it's going to be rainy, definitely guy it out. This one just goes on the second one as well. And part of the reason is because 3-season tents, if you don't have them guy lined out and it's humid and rainy and wet, it'll condensate inside your tent. So if you don't guy it out and let this area under here breathe a little bit, you could have enough condensation that it actually rains on you from inside your tent. But when you read the reviews and you hear people complain about that, it's because they screwed up and didn't guy it out. Here's another guy line here. You can do the same thing, kind of pull it out and get some air in there if you want. And this thing here is also for airflow. You know, when you put it down, you put it away, it usually sits like this, but pull it out and Velcro this end to this end. And you have your automatic little airflow there, which helps a lot. That'll help keep it from raining on you as well. So the last thing is when you have a vestibule, you can stake down both sides of the vestibule for some reason, but if you do that, you'll like not be able to get inside. So I usually stake down the side with the cover, so the side here, and just stake that down and just stand on it for now. And you can see that gives you this whole storage section here. So when you go inside, let's see, you have this whole area here. You can plug it in. You can put your shoes there. You can put your, I usually put my bags there. And you're good to go. Taking the tent down. So first thing is you'll undo this thing here. You'll go around here and try to remember this because you could easily rip your tent if you don't do this. Undo the Velcro of your vent. Velcro your vent closed here. Undo your clips. Since that side's already undone, get it over to here. Now you can undo that. This you can just stuff back in the bag however it goes. Okay, so you put the rain fly in. Your rain fly is really only going to take up about this much of the bottom of the bag. But for now, just kind of leave it a little loose for a second so you've got some squish room. And that's because you're going to put the bag with the tent poles in there in a minute. So you're going to undo the entire thing. All right, just like when you go to put the tent together, as soon as you start loosening up these poles and pulling them out of their pockets, they are out of the eyelets, it's gonna shoot across the campsite as well. So I kind of do the same thing as in reverse. I step on one of the ends and I pull both eyelets and then just kind of slowly straighten out the pole manually, because if you don't, the whole thing is going to kick out on you. Same thing with this one. Step down, do the 2 eyelets, pick it up. You'll see this arc straighten out a little bit. Once it's straight, go ahead and just set the whole thing down. The other side's attached, that side's hanging out over there. Same thing. In daylight. Step on it a little bit, pull out both of your eyelets, loosen it out on its own, and pull out your last one. I'm going to fold up your tent pole just like you normally would. A note on the tent poles themselves: when you fold them up, take out the 2 the ends, but leave the main pole attached to the middle, or basically leave the middle pole and undo the other 2, because it tends to let the whole bundle lay flat If you do it the other way around, they stick out abnormally long and it's annoying and hard to get it back in the bag. So we're just gonna put it in the bag. Once you have your tent poles in the bag and your halfway stuffed actual bag, you're gonna take tent poles and slide them along down the side. Try not to rip your overhead, your cover. All right, so now you have your tent poles inside the bag itself. And here's where it gets kind of tricky, but this helps you keep the tent and the footprint together. So I grab one of the sides and I kind of wrap it around so you still have your footprint and your tent together. And I just kind of bundle that up together and go straight down. I don't know if I can do this with both hands. So you have one end in, and then when you grab the next bunch, kind of twist it gently and put that side in as well. Next bunch, grab it, twist it gently, not even a quarter turn, and put that side in as well. And what it does is it keeps the footprint lined up with the rest of the tent as you twist it, so when you pull it back out, they stay stuck together. Otherwise, the tent and the footprint will kind of dance around each other and they'll get all tangled up and you'll have to start over. But if you keep them lightly twisted, it'll really help keep it together. A little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Lay it on in there. And there you go. And then you take don't forget your tent stakes. Those go in the rest of the space. Check your instructions, cinch it down, and you're good to go.